I'm Pragya, and I bring to you excerpts from the current issue of Outlook that looks at two cover stories, two narratives of war, one mythical, one real, Ramayana and that between Israel and Hamas. In the issue titled In Memory of Elusive Peace, Outlook delves deeper into the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. Gaza's Echoes of Despair by Iftikhar Gilani, a journalist currently based in Ankara, Turkey. A serene October morning was violently shattered as the sky lit up with fire over the Israeli housing settlements of Kfar Aza, Be'eri, Nahal Oz, and Magain. These normally quiet neighborhoods bordering the endangered Gaza Strip were transformed into a horrific scenario when they were caught in a ferocious storm of steel orchestrated by Hamas militants. Even before the sun had chased away the night, these fighters, like shadows, used every means possible to penetrate southern Israel. From simple motorbikes to unconventional paragliders, they invaded peaceful sanctuaries, making their paths with devastation and spreading the echoes of conflict thought to be over. In the days that followed, rescue teams sifted through the rubble, unearthing not only the structural but also the human cost of this unforeseen collapse. Some 1,300 people, including 279 soldiers, were recovered from the rubble. In the rubble of Kibbutz Be'eri, the story of 74-year-old Vivian Silver, an ardent advocate for peace, merged with tragedy. Her house stood, or rather, it no longer stood, as a cruel paradox of a lifelong mission to build bridges where walls stood. Vivian, known for her flamboyant activism, now bore the mute title of the missing, reinforcing the deep vacuum in the corridors of regional peace building. For the outside journalist who wanted to cover Palestine issues, particularly in Gaza, she was the first stop to get quotes. This bleakness was juxtaposed with the horrific reality that confronted visitors to Nova Music Festival, an event meant for celebration turned into a theater of horror as 260 lives were choked by the conflict. Some were held hostage and tugging at the fragile threads of hope that connected them to their loved ones. One such story was that of 22-year-old Omar Venkat, whose harrowing text to his family serve as a testimony to the rapid descent from joy to despair. The scene of the conflict, however, was not confined to Israel's soil. Tragedy struck when Ahli Arab Hospital was hit by an Israeli strike, leaving around 500 people dead, including patients, heroic medics, and shelter seekers. Ibrahim Mukarram, who sought refuge there with his family, survived by sheer chance. Just 3 miles from the scenes of the initial chaos, Gaza itself shook under the weight of the retaliation. The countryside burned like blisters under Israeli airstrikes. As the days passed, the death toll in Gaza rose immeasurably, with over 3,000 people, including 750 children, wiped out. Mark Garlasco of Pax for Peace illustrates the intensity of the conflict by comparing Israeli airstrikes in 1 week to the scale of an entire year of US operations in Afghanistan. In just 1 week, Israel dropped 6,500 bombs on densely populated urban areas, the highest number of bombs and other munitions dropped in a year during the war in Afghanistan was just over 7,423, he said, citing US military records. A former Pentagon strategist, Garlasco's findings paint a grim picture of the scale and human cost of the conflict. He said that NATO alliance dropped about 7,600 bombs and missiles from aircraft throughout the war in Libya. For this and more, read the current issue of Outlook.